Hello student, good morning. I hope you all will be safe and sound. So as we were discussing about that is the independence of the judiciary. After this one, what they have given, let's have a discussion over it. Okay, that is about the structure of courts in our country. We saw the structure that is being followed in our country. Okay, there are three levels of courts in our country. Three levels of the courts that has been given at the lower level and at the state level as well as at the higher level. That is, there are several courts at the lower level while there is only one at the apex level. So they have given at the lower level you will get many kinds of the courts over there, that is district courts, tehsil, as well as in the towns. And at the higher level there is an apex court. Apex means the supreme, the highest court. As you all know that is known as Supreme Court. Okay, the courts that most people interact with are what are called subordinates or district courts. As you all know that whatever the district courts are there, most of the people are having cases with these cases in these district and the lower level courts, and the people are much interacted with these courts. These are usually at the district or the tehsil level or in towns, and they hear many kinds of the cases. As I have already told you, these are at the local level, at the lower level. So whatever the that cases the people are having, so many kind of the cases these are heard, and these are mainly listened by these courts. Each state is divided into districts that are presided over by a district judge. As we all know that the each state is having the different district. If you take the example of our own state that having 13 districts, and they are having their own district level courts, and these are headed or presided by the district judge. Okay, each state has a high court which is the highest court of the state. As we all know that each state is having the one high court, so it is the highest court of that particular state, and it is the highest court of the state. Then at the top is the Supreme Court that is located in New Delhi, and it is presided over by the Chief Justice of India. As you all know that at the top level for the whole country, there is only one single court that is known as the Supreme Court, highest court of the country, and it is located in New Delhi, and it is headed or presided by the Chief Justice of India, which is appointed by the President of our country. Okay, the decision made by the Supreme Court, whatever the decision are being made by the Supreme Court, these all are binding on all other courts of India. And these all the decisions, whatever the decision will be given by the Supreme Court, that will be bind, and that will be followed by all other courts of the country. And downside they have given one kind of the triangle and one kind of pyramid here. So you can fill here at the bottom, you can fill here about the district courts, about the local levels of courts. If you go through the middle one, so you can find that is middle one, that is state level, and at the top you can go for that is the apex level. Okay, as they have given the example here, you can check here. So that is at the right side you can see the High Court of the Madras, which were made during the time of Britishers, and the left side they have given something about it. Okay, you can go, the High Court was first established in the three presidencies, that is in the city of Calcutta, Bombay and Madras in 1862. They have given here. Then also you can check the high courts of the Delhi came up to 1966, and currently there are 25 high courts. Means although there are 28 states but and 7 union territories, but there are only 25 high courts. Why it is so? The other which is not having the high court in their state and in their union territory, these are attached with the other states high courts. Okay, so after this one, something they have given, let's have a discussion over it. Are these different levels of courts connected to each other? Whatever the courts are there, these are connected to each other. Yes, they are. In India, we have an integrated judicial system, meaning that the decision made by higher courts are binding on the lower courts. Here they have given, in India what used to happen, we have an integrated judicial system. Mean to say, whatever the decision will be given by the higher level of the courts, that will be followed by the lower levels. Okay, these are binding, that is why they have given here, these are binding on the lower courts. Another way by understand this integration is through the appellate system that exists in one country. That is the appellate system. Mean to say, if the downside they have also told here, that is, this means a person can appeal to the higher court if they believe the judgment passed by the lower court is not just. Means if they not satisfied, if they do not say this is not fair judgment by the lower courts, so they can appeal to the higher level of the courts. That was if you are having the case in the district level, if the district judge has given any decision, so if you are not satisfied, you will go to the high court. Even after that, if you are not satisfied, then finally you will go to the Supreme Court, and whatever the decision will be given by the Supreme Court, that will be full and final. Okay. After this one, let us understand what we mean by the appellate system by tracking a case, that is state Delhi administration versus Lakshman Kumar and others in 1985 from the lower court to the Supreme Court. What happened by this one, whatever the case they have given, by this one we will come to know about this one case. In February 1980, Lakshman Kumar married 20-year-old Sudha Goyal, and they lived in a flat in Delhi with Lakshman's brother and their family. So what happened? One of the person named Lakshman, he got married in 1980 with Sudha Goyal and lived in a flat in Delhi with his brother and their family. On 2nd December 1980, Sudha died in a hospital due to burns. So what happened? And 2nd December 1980, this lady got died just because of burns in the hospital. Her family filed a case from her mother's side. They filed a case in the court. Then, when this case was heard in the trial court, a trial court means to say at the local level court, district level maybe. So, 4 of her neighbors were called as a witness over there. Okay, so 4 of whatever the neighbors were of the Lakshman Kumar, they were called in the court as a witness, as an evidence. Okay, they stated that on the night of the 1st December, they had heard Sudha scream and had forced their way into Lakshman's flat. So what they on the last night, mean to say the 1st December night, what happened? They heard some screaming voice from there. Okay, then they had to force and they went to the Lakshman's flat. Then there they saw Sudha standing with her sari in flames. So they have seen the Sudha was standing, that her sari got burned. Her sari was in fire. Flame mean to say fire. Okay, then they that is extinguished the fire by wrapping Sudha in gunny bag and blanket. With the help of the gunny bag and with the help of blanket, so they try to just wrap the fire from the Sudha. Sudha told them that her mother-in-law, that is Sakuntala, had poured kerosene oil on her and that her husband Lakshman had lit the fire. So what she told, that is Sudha told to the neighbors that her mother-in-law, that Sakuntala, he's just thrown the there's a kerosene oil on her, and her husband Lakshman had lit the fire. During the trial, members of Sudha's family and a neighbor stated that Sudha had been subjected to torture by her in-laws and that they were demanding more cash, a scooter, and a fridge on the birth of the first child. So what happened? Whoever the members of the Sudha's family, so and a neighbor, whoever the neighbors over there, so they stated that Sudha had been subjected to torture. Means she was tortured over there in the Lakshman's family. She was exploited. She was tortured over there by her in-laws, whoever the in-laws were there, and as well as they were demanding more cash from her mother's side, a scooter, a fridge on the birth of the first child. As a part of their defense, Lakshman and his mother stated that Sudha's sari had accidentally caught fire while she was heating milk. And from the this one, for the defense, so Lakshman and his mother, what they stated in the court, that Sudha sari that got accidentally that is caught fire while she was heating the milk. Then what happens is, on the basis of this and other evidences, the trial court convicted Lakshman and his mother Sakuntala and his brother-in-law Subhash Chandra and sentenced all 3 of them to death. So what happened? So the trial court, it found the guilty, convicted these persons, mainly the Lakshman, her husband, her mother-in-law, that is Sakuntala, and her brother-in-law, that is Subhash Chandra. And what happened after this one? These all were sentenced to 3 of them to death. Mean to say they got the capital punishment over there. Then what happened? In November 1983, the 3 accused went to the High Court. That Lakshman, his mother and his brother, they went to the High Court to appeal against the verdict of the trial court. What about the decision was there? So against this one, they went to the High Court. Then the High Court, after hearing the arguments, of all the lawyers decided that Sudha had died due to the accidental fire caused by the kerosene stove. So, as the district level, they got the capital punishment and they found guilty. But in the high court, what happened? So, the accidentally she got died just because of the kerosene stove. Lakshman, Sakuntala, and Subhas Chandra were acquitted. Means they were acquitted. They didn't found guilty, and they were just buried from there. That means they were just relieved from there. Then you may remember the photo essay on the women's movement in your class 7th book. You might have just remember, and you might be remembering about the domestic violence case we have read. Okay, so these all the things, and as well as you read about how in the 1980s women's group across the country spoke about against the dowry deaths. They protested against the failure of the courts to bring the cases to justice. So what happened? These women, when they were just didn't found guilty, so they also protested against this one. Whoever the guilty, so they must get the punishment. Then the above court judgment deeply troubled women, and they held demonstration and filed a separate appeal against this High Court decision in the Supreme Court through the Indian Federation of Women Lawyers. So what happened when the decision was given in favor of the Lakshman and his mother and brother? So after this one, what happened? Whoever the organizations they were having over there. So what happened? So these all just protested against it, and they just demonstrated over there, and they filed a separate appeal against the High Court decision, and they went to the Supreme Court through the Indian Federation of Women Lawyers. Then in 1985, the Supreme Court heard this appeal against the acquitted of Lakshman and two members of his family. Then finally it was also appealed in the Supreme Court, the same case. Then it was just heard and by the Supreme Court. Then the Supreme Court heard the arguments of the lawyers and reached a decision that was different from that of High Court. So at last, by listening all the things and by all the arguments of the lawyers, so the Supreme Court reached the decision which is quite different from the High Court. They found Lakshman and his mother guilty because acquitted the brother-in-law Subhasan. They did not have enough evidence against him. So the Supreme Court gave the final decision. What happened? The Lakshman and his mother, they found guilty. Okay, but the brother-in-law, that is the brother of the Lakshman Singh, he didn't found guilty just because of not having enough evidences against him. Then the Supreme Court decided to send the accused to prison for life. Mean to say lifetime imprisonment they got, and this decision was given by the Supreme Court to both persons, that is Lakshman and his mother. Okay, this is the case, and you now you came to know about by this one how we can appeal the cases from lower court to higher court. Now, what are the different branches of the legal system? Here you will come to know about the different branches of the legal system. The above case of the dowry deaths falls within what is considered a crime against society and is a violation of criminal law. Whatever the case of the dowry death, we have discussed this one in the previously. So this fall under within the crime against society, and it is a violation of criminal laws. Okay, then in addition to criminal law, the legal system also deals with civil laws cases. You read in chapter 4 and chapter 4 of how a new civil law was passed in 2006 to protect women against domestic violence. We have read about this one example about the civil law that we have read in the previous chapter. Look at the following table to understand some of the significant differences between criminal and civil law. So criminal and civil law that has been differentiated here. If you go through the criminal laws, deals with the criminal law, it deals with the conduct or act that the law defines as an offense. For example, theft, harassing a woman to bring more dowry or murder. These all the things come under the criminal law. Then the criminal law is usually begins with the logging of an first information report, that is an FIR, with the police who investigate the crime after with a case is filed in the court. As you all know that this is that just lost this one case just with the first information report, that is FIR, you have to file an FIR regarding to this one, and then it is investigated by the police. And as well as in criminal law, if someone found guilty, that accused can be sent to the jail and also fined. Okay, but in civil law, what used to happen? See, the civil law deals with any harm or injury to right of individual. For example, dispute relating to the sale of land, purchase of goods, rent matters, divorce cases, etc. And second point, as well as they have given, a petition has to be filed in civil law. What you can just go for any petition, you can file before the that is reviewing court by the affected party only. Means if you are being affected by someone, so you can just file a petition in the court. In a rent matter, either the landlord or tenant can file a case. Means suppose if you are living in a tenant in someone's house, if you are being tortured by the landlord, you can also file a case in the court. This comes under the civil law. Then the court gives the specific relief asked for, mean to say whatever the special relief that will be given, some kind of the compensation will be given by the court. For instance, for example, in case of between a landlord or a tenant, the court can order their flat to be vacated and pending rent to be paid. Like this, the flat that must be left, that must be left by the particular tenant, and the pending rent will be paid by him. Like this, these all the things have been given, and the downside they have given, you can fill it by doing yourself. Okay, then does everyone have access to courts? Okay, can everyone can reach to the court? So we will discuss this one in the next video. Okay.